Welcome to LearnLogicPro.com. Today I wanted to discuss the interaction with Logic Pro and the Macintosh operating system. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and double click and go into our Applications folder and just scroll on down. And as most people know, when you install an application, it ends up in the Applications folder. And you can drag that application down to the dock and leave it permanently there so it's easier to get to and launch. So this is the application. It tells you what the version number is. You do want to make sure you've got the latest version. That way you are up to date, and any fixes or possible updates that have improved Logic Pro are valid to you, especially in a working scenario. Logic also installs in the library, in application support, a Logic folder. And in here it has all the actual settings, presets, channel strip sets, samples, ultra beat things, everything that's needed for Logic to properly work is installed in this folder. And when you install that large amount of content, this is what it is. And as you see, I just did Command I, and I'm looking at the content, and we're dealing with almost 5 gigs of content that did install with Logic, and this is where it installs. The one thing that you can move out of here if you chose to is the ESX24 or ESX samples. You can move those somewhere else, and the ESX is smart enough to find it. So if you need to ease up a little room, you can actually move these samples. And these samples is about 3 gigs of samples, and you can move those to an external hard drive, and like I said, the sampler will find it automatically. Okay. You also have in the user directory another application support Logic folder, and it's exactly like the other folder, except there's a few differences. Obviously, it doesn't have ultrabeat samples in here, but what it does have is all of the folders that are needed for your presets. So if you made a plugin setting, you made your own setting based on your manipulations of a synthesizer, and you saved it, this is where it saves it. Same thing with key commands. If you made any key command changes, here I've got giga samples that have been extracted, and it puts the giga samples in here. You've got channel strip settings for the aux, bus, instruments, things like that. You also have a place for your project templates. So if you're working in Logic and you want to make a template, this is where it actually saves those templates. Okay. Some of these folders are actually created when you do the process recycle audio. Obviously, that is something that was added a little bit later after I converted some recycle files. And the same thing with the giga samples. So if your folder doesn't look like mine, there's a reason why. I've done some work, and obviously these folders have been created based on the type of work and the files that I'm opening. But this is the application support folder. Now, if you do want to back this up, you simply can make a copy of that by control-clicking and making a copy and compressing it, and then you can save that, burn it, put it on an external hard drive. You don't want to move it out of there because you'll lose your presets. Now, there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about in the relationship between Logic and the Mac OS is preferences. And as you scroll down in the same folder, the application library, where the application support folder is, we're going to keep scrolling on down, and we will find a preference folder. Now, I wanted to talk about this because sometimes you may need to reset the preferences of Logic, that something may be happening, it doesn't redraw something, some third-party plugin could be causing some issue, and you may need to troubleshoot Logic itself. And one of the things that you will need to do is delete the preferences. So where that is in your user folder. Mine's called Studio. Inside the library, we're going to scroll on down until we find preferences, and in there we're going to find some things that say Logic or Logic Pro. And you will want to delete everything that's in there that refers to Logic. And as we scroll down the list, we will find a com.apple.logic.pro.plist.cs. Both of those want to be deleted. You want to make sure Logic is not on. You want to make sure the application's quit. But you will want to delete both of those. And then you'll continually scroll down, and you will find another folder that says Logic. And here it is here. You will want to delete that one as well. Okay. And once you delete both of those files, actually all 3 of those files, you will then at that point want to relaunch Logic. And you may need to set up a few of the preferences, your key commands and things, but I promise you it'll be much easier to set up the key commands than it will having someone troubleshoot the issue. So you definitely want to use the preferences to troubleshoot the issue. And that's the relationship of Logic Pro 8 in the Mac OS. LearnLogicPro.com.